Selling your business for hundreds of millions of dollars. That is the dream, right? Well, let's find out.
In 2018, I sold the company for more money than I could have ever imagined. It was euphoric, and I thought it would last forever.
If you internally face all the time and you're just thinking about yourself, that's pretty much a recipe for unhappiness.
And then once I could kind of get that clarity, then I could think a little more clearly about what's the right next steps for me. Solomon, who was like the Dan Bilzerian of his day, he did, he like did everything, right?
That was a wild metaphor.
Anyways.
The feeling I felt the biggest void of in my afterlife was like pregame jitters, like where you're going to go do something you're nervous about, asking a girl out for the first time, playing the big game, whatever it might be. That feeling, I wonder how often a life of leisure creates that sense for you.
This episode of TaylorReacts is brought to you by our partners at Vermont and Finaloop.
Jake Kassan was the poster child of the DC 1.0 era. Movement Watches was one of the first major exits that we all heard about. $100 million. Insane. But recently, Jake has shared his story about how life after exit wasn't quite the dream he thought it would be. And as an entrepreneur who someday dreams of selling my company too, I wanted to bring on two friends who have recently sold their business to see if these feelings that they've experienced are similar to Jake's.
I thought this would be fun given both of your unique experiences, having been founders that have sold companies, one of you more recently than the other. I think Patrick's probably a little further down the whatever the emotional curve is. Maybe Albert's obviously still pretty fresh for you guys. But I don't know if you've had seen this video from Jake prior to me sharing it or not, or how familiar you are with Movement and their story. Or I know you had a Reddit post that went pretty viral a bit ago, but I thought it would be interesting to see, like, okay, watching this with people living this experience, how much do you relate to it? How much do you not? And then I'm also like selfishly, maybe I'm on the edge of that journey at some point myself. So I'm just going to selfishly try and soak up some of your guys' wisdom too.
Sweet.
Love it.
Quick fact check. How old were each of you at the time?
36.
Okay. 36. Albert?
38.
38. Okay. So 38. I'm 41. So we all have a little age and wisdom on this experience that I think will probably color this a touch. Let's rock.
At 21, I started a company.
Like MVMT is the fastest growing watch brand in the world.
At 27, I sold that company, and it changed my life forever.
Okay. 6 years. What was your guys? So 21 to 27, that was his run. How long did it take each of you?
For me, it was 7, I think.
Okay. Albert?
Mine was, I didn't get fully engaged with it until 2022. Like I started back in 2014 in college, but just didn't really like gas.
Yeah.
Basically didn't push on marketing. And then 2022, we started pushing.
Okay. So from the moment that you went all in pretty quick then, so shorter, like 3 years, but roots of it going
we had
back
a nice wave.
decade. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm 12 years in. Okay. Got to catch up to you speedsters.
Call me naive, but I thought money would solve all my problems. Instead, it just created new ones. But first, let me take you back to where it all started.
That's some good acting right there, just for the record.
I mean, it's dramatic. It's kind of like Andrew Tate meets like Bro Science Life meets like there's a lot of themes going on.
You mean you guys didn't just spiral into a ball of marijuana immediately following acquisition? That wasn't the experience?
I did other stereotypical post-exit stuff, but weed wasn't one of them.
Okay.
I like No, I was going to say I didn't have like a dramatic moment. It was kind of like gradual lifestyle improvements, and like you kind of gradually make stupid decisions, but nothing that crazy. I think it depends on like the age and like where you're at too. If you're like in Miami at 20, like things will probably go wrong. Yeah,
that's fair enough. Yeah, being 27 single definitely changes the calculus a touch, I think.
I did the sauna, the cold plunge, all that kind of stuff, working out all the time.
Okay, so yeah, that's in there somewhere. I think that's all part of. So there are sort of different sides of the same coin.
I care about most things. If you had asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up, I probably would have just said I want to be successful. And I'm not sure why, but I just associated making money with happiness. Fast forward to 2013, I started Movement, and it grew beyond my wildest dreams. 75 employees, sold over 1 million watches to 160 countries, Forbes 30 under.
You know, I think's funny, and I wonder if you guys ever felt this, like the idea of the number of employees you have as like a signal of something. Like, I feel like that's like a very early entrepreneur thing that you're like, I have all these people. And now I like that be my nightmare. It'd be like, the more you tell me, the more I would want to go the other direction.
Yeah, now it's a flex if you have less employees. Yeah, I'm doing with this with 2 employees.
Yeah, exactly. It seems like that's like a thing that I remember that early on being like, because you didn't want to tell people how big your company was. So you'd be like, yeah, we have 84 people, you know, it's just really, really going well.
Yeah, I think this is like an era. This was when like Ecom was like newer, and like you had a lot of like right after this kind of thing, like I feel like there's a lot of funding that came into the space. And like, I mean, you still talk to people today who are not actual operators, like if they kind of like MBA-ish type people or like whatever, like they still have crazy headcount plans. And like the best businesses, I think everyone here definitely recognizes, like a good business can be very, very few people.
Yeah.
Especially if it's online. Like you just don't need that many people, especially nowadays with the tech.
How many people did you each have at exit?
We were probably 12 total.
12
including
total.
My wife and I, maybe 14.
Yeah. Albert, what about you?
We do a lot of like part time and contracted, so like full time. I think we had 8.
Yeah.
But like.
So even that number's misleading, right? Because half of those were overseas, very affordable. You know,
Totally.
A quarter of those were probably part-time contractors. You know.
So both of you had less than 10 U.S. full-time employees. Is that fair to
definitely.
say?
Probably less than 5.
Wow.
For me, yeah.
That's crazy. That's cool.
30. All my dreams were coming true in only a few short years. Then in 2018, I sold the company for more money than I could have ever imagined. It was euphoric, and I thought it would last forever. I bought the car and house that I've always wanted and was able.
The house with the glass garage right here, by the way. this is Ecom Bro 101 right there. Taking a break from TaylorReacts to bring you Funnel Reacts, where I show you some of my favorite ad funnels that I found on the internet. Loop earplugs, maybe the best meta advertiser in the world. Very clear audience, guys working hard with their hands, very clear offer. And check this out. When you click in, connects to a very specific landing page. This is what great advertising takes. But Taylor, Loop earplugs, giant brand. How could I build specific landers for every one of my ads? Well, I'll tell you how. You do it with our friends at Vermont. Vermont makes building landing pages as easy as building ads. And it allows you to take advantage of Pierre, their AI assistant, who will give you amazing ideas, an awesome visual dashboard of the success of every funnel that you're creating. Check out these example of Vermont landing pages that we've built for our clients at Common Thread Collective. That's right. We're not a dev agency, but these are no-code builders that our team can create to diversify landing pages as much as ads. Look at this. Mobile-friendly, video in the header, handle purchase objections. And the coolest thing about Vermont is they aren't just landing pages. They actually allow you to go all the way through to transaction right within the app. Ready to reduce your CAC and supercharge your store? Come over and build funnels the same way you create ads. VermontCommerce.com/CTC. The glass garage.
That's pretty lit. I mean,
I don't know what amount of money I would need to end up with to have the glass garage into the Ferrari. I don't know what that would be.
I think it's a McLaren, to be clear.
Oh, even worse.
No, this is still like the cool narrative for like a lot of young guys. Like if you talk to some of the guys that I'm referring to in Miami, like this is the shit. I get it. Like if you're going after a certain like aura, this is definitely it.
For sure. He talks about like sort of what he wanted as a kid. Like, did you both grow up thinking you were going to be entrepreneurs? I know, Patrick, you sort of had a previous life. What about Albert? It seems like you were pretty much right from the jump, though.
Yeah, but it was just because I wanted like autonomy. Like my goals for the business were $50K a year in passive income, because at a $50K, I knew I could get some other job that made $50K, and then I'm like, yo, I'm good. I'm making six figures. Yeah. Like, done. So no, I just didn't want to like have a job I didn't like. So I figured I could do a job I wanted to do, less dependent on pay, and then have like a side thing.
Interesting. Patrick, give the people your first life.
Yeah, for me, I came in as an engineer corporate guy, and for me, I originally started Supply to escape the corporate grind. I never thought it would be, I didn't have the foresight to think this could be an asset that I could sell one day. I just wanted a way out of my job. But then eventually when we started, success started to kind of come, then it turned into, oh, this is my retirement plan. Like this needs to work, this needs to succeed so I can retire off of this. That was certainly became part of my aim in the later days for sure.
It's interesting. That sequence, though, I feel like is so much more common than the idea that you start with this like immense clarity about asset value. It's like that's very rarely the entrepreneurial pace, right? It's that's why I think finance is this thing we have to learn along the way in some capacity, because it's not the motivator usually of why we got here.
The people that come in with that, like, rarely does it work, because they also have this weird framework, like with the employee thing and stuff. They think like, oh, I gotta like, or they're like really metric chasing, which a lot of times the metrics don't metric early on. You usually just hit a certain point and things start to work.
Yeah, it's sort of the cliche though that like the you guys got what you wanted right from the start, which is that you got freedom from the other thing. You got the autonomy, you got the freedom. So you weren't in the process of chasing a thing. It's like the thing was the thing, and I think there's something about that always is more powerful as it goes through the crappy parts.
Yeah, for me, I got it, but then I had to keep it alive. So I was always chasing. Like in the early days, it was chasing survival. And then it became chasing higher numbers and bigger outcomes, et cetera, et cetera. So I never felt like I had achieved something along the way.
Ever along the way.
Ever.
Interesting.
It would help out my friends and family. I was just looking to enjoy my life. But as time passed, I couldn't help but start to feel this void growing inside me. Nothing could really compare to the high I felt while pursuing my dream of making money. I could feel there was a change in me. I'd lost all the purpose in my life. I had everything that anyone could have wanted, and yet somehow I was still miserable.
All right, guys, where are we on the misery curve? Where are we at here?
So this is funny. Yale actually did like a whole study about this, and they've got a literal curve.
Do you know what kills me about running e-commerce? It's how many brands I see flying blind with bad financial data. Right now, you're stuck between not that great of options. You have your analytics platform, cool, enjoy that partial view of revenue that's missing most of your costs. Wait for your bookkeeper to close the month, cool, now you're making decisions with 30-day-old data that's probably not that accurate. Meanwhile, your marketing team is optimizing off of one set of numbers, your finance team is panicking over a completely different set of numbers, and nobody knows what's actually true. That's where Finally comes in. An all-in-one accounting service and financial platform for consumer brands. Your books closed daily, not monthly, daily. For the first time, marketing and finance are all looking at the same truth. Every transaction categorized, every cost allocated, every number you see is based on real-time financials, not estimates, real profit margins, real customer acquisition costs, real cash flow, all updated in real time. Because when you know what's actually happening in your business, you can finally fix what's broken. Right now, they're offering 50% off for 2 months. So your job is to tell them that I sent you. get.finalloop.com/Taylor-Reacts. Link will be in the comments and video description. Tell them Taylor sent you 50% off 2 months, the best financial real-time view of your business reality now.
If you go read the white paper, it's like, month 1, you're like ecstatic, and then, trough of sorrow around month 12, which was about the same for me. I was probably month 14 was trough of sorrow for me, and then you eventually come out of it in like year 2 or beyond. So for me, I'm kind of coming out of it, but I went through the trough. It's almost a stereotype, the more you read about it. But yeah, I've kind of come out of it a little bit.
But Albert, you're early, man. Are you going to buck the trend? Where are you at? Are you going to resist it all or what?
Yeah, I think because it's been a slow burn. I've had some other businesses, and I kind of know myself well enough to know if I was not going to work, that wouldn't go well. I'd self-destruct. So I'm still working. So I think that's where I've modulated that, because if you create a big hole in your life and you like to do things, that becomes problematic. So I just kind of knew I would fall in that hole. So I just had filled that hole with work. You know what I mean? So I think that's how you avoid some of that sorrow. And then I think also too, his framing of it, I think most people are fulfilled by like friends and family. So like the money box is very nice to check, but like if you're not good on the other fronts, like you're not going to be very happy because like you don't even have friends to spend it on or like whatever. Like I think he's probably just at a stage where he was like, yeah, he probably has not invested in any of his like personal relationships, and then now you have money and you don't have like, you know, a family. Like that's kind of usually doesn't work out.
Yeah, but Patrick, you had family. You got lots of friends and family. There was still something, but you didn't work, right? You hadn't been working for a while, right?
No. For me, like more than money or success or, you know, fame, the goal was leisure. If I wouldn't have said it at the time, but like
Yeah,
I want to
feel
stop
that.
working so I can,
Yeah.
you know, sit by the pool. And you know, it's anybody it's hard to talk about this subject because anybody who hasn't experienced it thinks like you know, what a I'm not going to use the words, but you know, what a jerk talking about how sitting by the pool is a hard life. And
Yeah.
but it's like, you know, maybe this is the point where you say that like everybody who's achieved success that you can think of, Tom Brady, you know, Lady Gaga, Michael Phelps, you know, they all talk about how it's meaningless once you get there. And
Yeah.
so for me, I achieved what I wanted, which was success, which allowed freedom, which allowed tons of leisure time, but then found out that wasn't really gonna scratch the itch.
Mm. Continuing
I
on.
think I saw that. Yeah.
Go ahead, Albert.
I was just gonna say, like, I see that in my everyday life. Like, if I have like an hour free, I'm like getting unhappy. So I kind of knew that I couldn't allow like any kind of like gap because I'm like, I need things to do. Otherwise it's not good.
Interesting. All right. I like it.
I spent my whole life thinking, if only I had enough money, if I can only just get a little more successful, only then will I be happy. I finally climbed to the top of my mountain, but I didn't find what I was looking for. How do you empathize with someone who's rich and depressed? And the hardest part was I couldn't really talk to anyone about it.
So you just use that same language, Patrick. I
Yeah,
don't know if you did it
yeah.
on purpose.
No,
But
not on purpose, but yeah.
There's something isolating about the experience.
It's funny. I was either they're doing a great comment moderation or you know, people are nicer than I thought, but there's nobody dunking on him in the comments. But when I went to the comments, I was like, oh man, people are really going to hate this. Rich guy talking about how hard his life is. But I don't know. There was none of that there.
That's interesting. Do you feel like maybe that's a story you made up in your head somehow, or do you think that's really the narrative?
Maybe it's what I've made up in my head. I certainly feel like I would feel that way, you know. You know, woe is you, the world's tiniest violin, you know. Or at least on the outside. I think it's funny. I had heard stuff like this before that, like, you know, the kind of challenges of post-exit, but I never paid attention to them. I was like, that's not going to happen to me, you know. So, yeah. Anyways.
Interesting. Do you feel that, Albert, that it would be like insane for someone to have empathy for your experience in any way, or?
No, I mean, I lived in New York for 10 years while I was running the business. So you see like tons of mega wealthy, depressed people. So it was like, this is like, I don't feel like I'm like, yeah, like your life, you know, you don't have anything to do. Like it's just, most of the time people, if you don't have anything to do, it's like, that's where people are unhappy. You don't have a purpose. People like purpose. So I think that's like the same, like you kind of have a gap, and especially something that you worked on for a long time. That was like, you're right. Oftentimes it's like the identity aspect, but then it's also literally just like physical, like even if it's keyboards, like physical engagement with something you're moving forward. If you don't have that like thing, you're just kind of like, what am I doing? Like leisure gets very like, if you built a company, often you're not a super like leisure driven person, you know?
Yeah,
it's
exactly. Yeah, it's this thing that you cut out all the time, and then all of a sudden it's all you have. It feels like it's quite this shift to your system there.
So instead, I just found ways to distract myself. There was this painful anxiety growing inside me. But in life, you either choose your pain or your pain chooses you. I was on a trip in Australia with some of my closest friends. It was the morning after a night out. I was headed back to my room.
And that's when the panic started to creep in.
It felt like I was losing control of my mind.
I
need help. Just get to it. Go away. Make it stop. Mentally unwell. Are you going crazy? This is torture. This is not going crazy. I'm having heart attack. Need help.
It's a good job with the story arc. I got to give him credit.
Mhm.
It's a good arc here. It really takes us to the apex, the bottom moment. Patrick, what was the bottom moment of your trough of sorrow? When did you head to the upside?
The bottom. So like, when did it kind of turn around for me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in short, I'll kind of just real quick. I went through what I would call a couple of months of clinical depression. All the telltale signs, and then coming out of that for me was kind of a realization of finding meaning, finding purpose, finding joy in things that were not work, that were not productivity related, and frankly, in my faith, and kind of being okay with kind of feeling a little bit lost about what's next for me, and kind of who am I becoming. The funny thing is, like, we're all kind of around midlife crisis, so the exit times of the midlife crisis, times with the young children.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of that kind of mixed up. Who am I now? What am I doing with the rest of my life? That kind of stuff. And for me, I started reading an author called John Mark Comer, who really kind of helped me kind of settle those thoughts and really kind of find some peace in the moment I was in. And then once I could kind of get that clarity and that peace, then I could think a little more clearly about what's the right next steps for me, for my career, et cetera.
Albert, you have any midlife crises on the horizon, you think?
No, well, I guess I've had little momentary like dips, but it's always just like if I don't have anything to do, so that's like easy for me to solve. I'm like you just need things to do, so I prevent the if you see something accelerating downward, I'm like, all right, cool, I need something to do. So yeah.
So if you don't though, what would be on the other side of that? If you didn't, you think it would be
No idea. Don't need to find out.
Not interested in exploring the silence, huh?
No.
All right.
Taylor, if I could throw something else in there, you got me thinking. Yes. So one of the things for me is like I kind of realized that I'll call it a theology of work. You don't have to use the word theology. You can use philosophy. But my theology of work was wrong, like my entire life. Like I thought that I was working to live, working to live. And then what I realized is like leisure wasn't the goal. It was what was really the goal was a right understanding of work and its place in your life. So ambition and success aren't bad. They just make terrible gods. Leisure and laziness isn't good. So like, how do you, it's kind of this work-life balance. How do you find a life where you kind of put work in its right place, and learning kind of a better philosophy of work really kind of helps me come out of it.
So what is the better philosophy?
For me, it was putting work in the right place. So a guy named Tim Keller would say idolatry is turning a good thing like work into an ultimate thing. And I think really ambitious, driven people like us and like Jake, they turn their business into the ultimate thing. And frankly, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself a little bit towards the end of the video. I have some thoughts on how he's kind of turned to his next ultimate thing, which I think is a mistake. But understanding that work is good, but it's not the ultimate thing in my life.
Sounds like in some ways you guys maybe are reaching separate conclusions about the solution. I don't know, want to put words
me
into
and Jake?
Albert's.
Or
Well, no,
Albert?
Albert's saying that it's like, and I don't want to say that doing equals work for you, Albert. Maybe there are other things that fall into that, but it seems that the answer is just find a different thing to do that you enjoy, and so that
Yeah.
sort of substitutes for the pattern.
I think
Yeah, I need
ultimately,
stuff to do.
I do need something to do. Like, I've realized that for sure. I'm not saying I don't need something to do. I realize that something to do isn't going to fulfill me. So like going on to the next thing is just going to be the same kind of watering trough that ends up being empty at the end of it.
Do you think you'll be as successful with that disposition? Will you be as effective of a worker?
I think I won't be grinding as hard. I'll answer the question this way. As I think about what's next for me, I'm thinking, how do I put work in its right place so that it brings me joy and fulfillment, but doesn't sacrifice all these other things that are important to me, family, faith, and so to answer your question, that will mean I necessarily have to sacrifice certain levels of success that are not important to me. So
Totally.
Will it be a $10 million business instead of 20? Maybe. Does it matter? No, because that extra 10 doesn't matter to me.
Yep. All right, continuing on here.
I had 6 or 7 more panic attacks over the next few months.
I knew my body was trying to tell me something.
The more time I had to think about it, though, I realized I needed to fill my time with something more productive. Something that challenged me, scared me, and excited me, like the old days. Initially, there wasn't anything obvious in front of me. I never really had many hobbies growing up. So I started to think back to the early days at my company. What was it about those days that made me feel so alive?
How much do you think the hard, scary thing matters? Like that thing that he says, where it's like that feeling of you're about to do something, maybe challenge, or that makes you nervous.
I never frame things like that. I'm just like, what do I like to do?
Yeah.
They don't need to be hard or scary. They can just be like something that I would be excited about spending time on, I guess, that like inspires, like is like a fun, creative thing to me. I feel like I'm building something that I like for myself and other people will like it.
There's this, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I frame it more like what is going to cause me to grow into the person that I want to be, the man that I want to be 10 years from now. And those things may be hard or scary, but they don't necessarily have to be. But growth comes from usually hard things.
Yeah. There's this thing. So for me, when I was an athlete, the feeling I felt the biggest void of in my afterlife was like pregame jitters. Like that sense that I'm about to go do something that I've prepared for and challenged, and there's a possibility that I might fail. Like that sense. And it's funny. I even like now with my kids before a game, I just recognize like how natural that part of life is. Like where you're going to go do something you're nervous about, asking a girl out for the first time, playing the big game, whatever it might be, where there's this sense that like that feeling is an interesting one that I wonder how often a life of leisure creates that sense for you. It's just sort of like not really, maybe the last level of the video game sort of can tap into some dopamine somewhere, but I don't know. It seems like there's something in there that I notice people sort of longing for in this weird way.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of dopamine there. Maybe that's why we all get in 50-degree buckets of water.
Yeah, there's something that I think is neurological, that we're like triggering, and then you stop and you're like, whoa, this is like, where is that feeling?
Yeah,
it's gone
for sure.
Yeah, I even think about like my work week this week, and it's like there's this series of problems that trigger in me this like fight or flight response constantly. Like this client's unhappy, this person's got this thing, there's this issue, and they're all there and they're looming, and I have to manage through them, but they definitely trigger neurological response to me that if they all went away, I don't know what would be there. It's like I don't know, when you have literally, like you're in this phase now, Albert, like playing with like a sub 1-year-old for a long period of time is, I think, like the greatest mental challenge I've ever experienced, because it's so monotonous. Like there's nothing, like they're just like, doing very simple tasks so repeatedly that sitting in that for a long period of time is like my monkey brain,
Yeah.
that was so hard for me.
If you ever get to a point where you have to turn that off, Taylor, or get to, or have to, I want to be around and experience it with you.
watch the meltdown occur. Do you feel that playing with your 4-month-old, Albert?
No, I don't chase any of the like pregame jitters. Like I had all that. I would like throw up before all the races and stuff, and like I don't miss that at all.
Really?
I'm super happy without that. I don't need that shit. That's fucking terrible. Like that's
funny.
like getting held up at gunpoint. Like I'm like, nah, man, I'm good. Like
Really?
I'm happy, like chilling. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Love it.
I don't want that at all.
What did I intrinsically enjoy about those days? And then it finally hit me. I realized the thing I loved most about movement wasn't the money or success. It was being creative, working on something that I was proud of. It was about turning just an idea, just the thought that was in my head, into something real, and seeing people around the world enjoy it. I knew that in order to feel like I was living my fullest potential, I needed to do something creative again.
Either of you would self-identify as a creative?
Yeah, I would, or a creator.
Yeah.
Maybe not a creative in the in this sense.
What about you, Albert? I saw you nodding along.
Yeah. I like the creative stuff. I think that's like, hopefully, I think most business people that had success are like, I want to create something. Like that's usually why you start a business. You're like something, you want something to exist that doesn't, so you make it.
Yeah.
So I think that's creative.
Yeah. Do you feel a sense of specific connection to supplier Promix as an output of yourself, like as a creator?
100%.
Yeah.
A connection to the entity or to the idea or the brand.
Yeah. Any of it.
Yeah. I don't, maybe because I'm so far out from the exit. I mean, I certainly, at the time, it was a representation of kind of who I am and kind of a resume, like a very public resume. So at the time I felt very connected to it, but not anymore.
Yeah. Interesting.
Something that scared me.
Film has been extremely influential on me growing up. I've always been inspired by other creatives that pursued their passion.
I want to share some of my personal stories through my own lens. Being able to create something from just an idea and share it with others. If I've learned one thing in life, it's the journey is more meaningful with friends. So my childhood friend Cameron and I decided to partner on this.
But the reality is, we had no idea what we were doing.
We were both first-time filmmakers.
So Patrick, your first round, you were in business with your wife.
Yep.
Albert, did you start with any of your close friends? Did you have any personal relationships mixed into the business?
No, not at the beginning. Had some people kind of in and out at different times, but no.
So then I'm guessing it's not super important, but Patrick, I know, knowing a little bit about some of your post-life or post-transaction considerations now, like where do you think about the role of personal relationships within the context of work, and are those important? Do they matter?
I mean, it's probably, if not number one, top three of what I'm thinking about when I think about what I want to do next. It's who do I want to do it with? And so, yeah, it's no surprise to me that he's going into videography. He's going into it with a friend. Like, I think those are awesome choices for him. But yeah, for me, who I'm going to do the next
who
thing
matters
with,
a lot.
Extremely. It's probably extremely.
What about you, Albert? Do you have partners?
Yeah, I have my partner Devin, who is big in getting us where we are today. But yeah, that's like the filter. It's like I don't want to work with people I don't like, so it's like work on things that you like, work with people that you like. I think you get very convicted in that stance after having built a business, and you see how not fun it is if you have people that you don't like to work with. That's kind of the worst, because then you like created your own trap. I think like Patrick was saying, like getting out of corporate stuff, but it's like if you recreate like a shitty environment, that's not very much fun.
Totally.
Have either of y'all read the Harvard study on happiness?
No, give it to
There's
us.
this famous study. There's a really great book about it. There's one they studied like hundreds, thousands of people over almost 100 years to figure out what makes them happy across ages, lifestyles, et cetera, et cetera. It's like the most extensive study on happiness ever. There's one thing they found in common with the most happy people, the happiest people, and one thing lacking in the most unhappy people. Do you have any guesses on what it would be?
Well, the setup makes me think close friendships.
Yeah, relationships.
Yeah.
Didn't matter how much money, what they had accomplished, what they had done with their lives. It's the relationships that they have in their life. So I read that after my exit, and I thought, yeah, if I'm going to do anything again, it's going to be with people that I love.
Yeah. You did that. So do you think that contributed to your first experience being meaningful?
Meaning I did it with my wife?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I don't think we would have been successful
Really?
if it hadn't been both of us, for sure.
Cool.
I mean, you can only watch so many tutorials before your head starts to hurt.
Shot list and visual references.
It's so easy to compare yourself to other people. But just because you love film, that doesn't really make you a filmmaker. When you put everything you have mentally and physically into something, and it's still not enough, well, that's a hard pill to swallow. I had days where I asked myself if this whole thing was just me being delusional. I mean, who am I to think I can start a YouTube or be a filmmaker? I'm no scriptwriter, no storyteller. Almost every single day for the last 5 months was spent either writing, filming, or editing. I think the biggest difference between this journey and my last is that this time I found something I intrinsically loved working on. I'm not letting myself be solely motivated by money or success.
Do we believe in this idea of intrinsic love of a task? Is that important? How do you know if that exists? Do you guys intrinsically love razor blades and protein?
Yes.
It is natural within you to love the supplement.
Yeah. I like thought a lot about it. I went into business in the thing that what did you spend time on outside of work? So I would just like read packaging labels. That's like what I would do.
Where did that come from? Why? What do you think?
I have no idea.
No idea. Yeah.
That's like intrinsic, dude. No, I just like whatever you're drawn to that's like a little bit like outside of like the basics, like, oh, I like girls, I like video games, or like whatever. Like those are kind of like, unless you're really good at one of those, then I don't think you're gonna make a career in it. But if you're like doing something that's like, it's like not like normal interest level of something, and you do it in your own free time, that's where I think I always try to tell people, like, that's where you should go into business, because you obviously are like spending time on this, and it's a matter of time. Like if you invest a lot of time in something, you should probably figure it out, I think.
Was it the intrinsic skill of engineering that took you to razor blades? Was it the product category? Do you think it mattered?
I think for me, I love problem solving, like and building and creating. And I think that was the joy that I got out of my business. Not that I was necessarily, staying up all night. Well, I was staying up all night thinking about razor blades, but not because, it's like, I wasn't the Warren Buffett of razor blades. It was just solving the problems that kept me going.
Now, I'm not saying those aren't still goals along the way. They just shouldn't be the sole reason you do something. There was just one last thing we needed to finalize.
Where does this story even go from here?
At a time in my life where I felt the most lost, I was able to find purpose again. Up until
You used that word earlier, Albert. Purpose, meaning. What are they? What is it? How do you find it?
Purpose?
Yeah, meaning. What is it?
Yeah. I think it's pretty simple. I'm like a really simplistic person. the purpose aspect, you literally just have to have something to do. If you're like, I need to like get this cap on this bottle, like you just need things to do. I think people need like their I think that's like inborn, like that people like to build things, you know, like that's like, you know, you can get, Patrick, I know reads, or now I know he reads things like you can get really into like heady, interesting space around like, why do we keep building things? Like, why do we need a new iPhone? Why are we building these things? Like, that's just what people do. Like, people just build things. So like, I think you're kind of fighting, it doesn't have to always be like you can be a painter, like you're just producing. Like, I think people inherently need to produce something or do something. And I think oftentimes if you internally face all the time and you're just thinking about yourself, that's pretty much a recipe for unhappiness. Similar to like what Patrick said about, you know, outward facing is like you're making connections with friends or you're putting stuff in the world, you're creating things. Like, I think that's just like how you end up being happy. Like if you're busy and like moving forward, most people are happy. There's a bunch of like simplistic examples around, you know, if you like, happiness is relative. Like if you made 50K last year and made 75K this year, like you're happier typically because you're like, I'm progressing. But like if you went down, even if you were making 125 and now you make 100, you're like unhappy. It's all just kind of like about a progression that people like to see, and that can be in kind of anything. Yeah. So that's like the purpose, is just like progress in some area.
Do you think there are certain things to do that will yield more purpose and meaning than others? Like if I said forever you're going to put bottle caps onto that bottle, I'd be willing to bet that would actually wear off pretty quick for you. That it wouldn't elicit much purpose and meaning for very long. There's something more to it.
I'm pretty
than just
man,
do a thing.
You can get really good at it. Yeah, no, I'm like a do it.
You would just do bottle caps on the bottle.
Yeah, I'd be really fucking good at. Yeah, because I ran like distance running, so I ran like literally hundreds of miles a week every week for many years, and like I just didn't do anything else. Like I'm like wired like that, where I can just be like, no, I'm just gonna be really good at doing this bottle cap thing. So like I just need to be pointed in a direction, and then I'll just like kind of like spin on it. So there's a bunch of different things, but it helps a lot if you pick something like that's that leisure time thing of like, what do you do in your leisure time? That's probably something you actually like to do. Yeah. So like that's like, but recognizing the leisure of your leisure time is not actually fun, because then you should just like exist in a void. That's like pure leisure. But it's like, when you think about leisure, like break that down. Am I reading a book? What am I reading about? Like, what am I doing? So like, you're still doing something. You're not just like, I'm not like literally unplugging my brain, you know?
Yeah. Patrick, I get a sense that meaning might be more philosophical for you. What is purpose? How do you find purpose and meaning in your work? Could you get it from the bottle caps?
I couldn't personally. I actually agree very much with what Albert's saying. Personally, bottle caps wouldn't work for me. So meaning and purpose, that's kind of that's like a heady topic. But if you just bring it down to like, what am I doing today to kind of bring fulfillment and what I'll call flourishing to my life, like the wisest man who ever lived in Jewish literature, Solomon, who was like the Dan Bilzerian of his day. He did, he like did everything, right? Which, by the way, Dan Bilzerian has like turned a corner.
That was a wild metaphor. That was a wild metaphor.
Maybe he was a more tame version, but he accomplished so many things. Anyways, but it was kind of a wild metaphor. Anyways, he came after like doing all this stuff. He came to this conclusion, and he said the best you can do in life is to eat, drink, and enjoy the fruit of your labor. And that's basically what Albert just said. Like, enjoy your work, enjoy. He'll say, Solomon will say, enjoy the wife whom you love, and that's kind of what I'm pursuing right now, is a simple life, finding joy in what I do every day, in the small things. And but it's funny, I listened to a Dan Bilzerian podcast where he was talking about how he's like given up his whole previous life, and he's like, none of that's meaningful, and he's like basically given up all the stuff that he's known for. And so anyways, that's why he came to mind.
All right, I love it.
Well, now I always thought there was a destination I needed to get to in order to be happy. But now I realize that some of the best days of my life were the ones along the way. I'm excited to create again. Working on something that feels bigger than just me. Collaborating with friends, meeting new people, going to new places. I'm excited to challenge myself and do things that make me feel vulnerable or scared. All things I once took for granted in the past.
I honestly don't know where any of this is going to go. But isn't that kind of the point?
I think this shot might have been the point of the video for him, to be honest. I think this was actually the payoff right here.
Taking the shirt off.
Is this like if I open your camera roll, Patrick? Is this what I would see right now?
No helicopters.
Is this the exotic life live
yeah,
now?
Yeah, I may have sold my company, but it wasn't for $100 million. That's for sure. It wasn't helicopters and
Private islands. What about you, Albert? Is this the trip around the world in the camera roll?
You can definitely do this, but no, I don't know. Like the thing, all of it was popped in my head was like, this is not a bad strategy on his part. Like he's basically creating like a find me a partner funnel. Like it's, this is what most partners would, of the type of partner I would assume he's looking for. Most partners would find.
So you're saying this is like a giant Hinge profile right here? This is
it's a giant Hinge profile, bro. I have a lot of friends doing this. This is very classic playbook.
You're not wrong.
It's not a bad play. Not a bad play.
I hadn't considered that.
And I think I think he may find a partner and potential happiness from this.
Yeah.
So I'm full support of this. Like he's, he'll probably have fun along the way, and he's also creating a Hinge profile effectively.
So what was the biggest splurge for either of you? If it wasn't helicopters and trips around the world, what did you do when the money hit the bank account? Anything cool?
I didn't do anything immediately cool. I had run the business for a very long time, so like I'd kind of gotten the stuff I wanted and had some other businesses, but it's always been like house stuff. Houses are very expensive if you want to like spend your money on. So it's like fun to get a house, but I always try to treat it like an investment. And then I never bought anything crazy. Like I'll still buy like a used car. It might be a cool car, but then also cars are the dumbest thing ever. That's the only like thing where I'm like, that is stupid. I don't even like to drive cars. I like to drive a moped or a bike or walk. And especially if you have more than one car, it's like, when are you going to actually drive this thing? Why would you have multiple cars? So that's just, and no one cares about that at all. Like chicks don't care about cars that much. Like, so what are you getting it for? So I don't know. That's like you get influenced by other people, and you're like, oh, that would be cool. And then it's just like another thing to take care of.
Aren't you nervous that Patrick's about to tell you about his McLaren that he bought right now?
I hope so, dude. That'd be lit. I like when guys buy cool cars. So I'm like, hell yeah, but I don't want that because it's like,
I'm just playing. I don't think he did that. I think he's frozen right now, though. Did we lose him?
Oh no!
Might have to jump.
Am I still online?
Are you gonna buy anything? Have you bought anything?
No, I same as you. I have my the thing I sort of dream about is that like my kids are at this age. So I have twin boys that are 11, a daughter that's 8, and I feel this like really precious window of time over their next 7 years where they're going to be home, and I want them to want to be home, and so sort of being the house that the kids are at is something I dream about.
Yeah.
So the backyard where they're playing in the pool So I don't know. This phase of life feels unique to me. I think like when they're gone, it sort of opens up a very different chapter of like, all right, my wife and I, what does our life look like now? But I feel my kids like very actively moving away from me, and not in this like negative way, but in this natural, like they're moving towards their friends, they're moving towards their life. And so there's something that feels very fleeting in this moment that I want to try to protect. And maybe that's a little bit selfish, but I figure if
that's
selfish with anything, it's them,
That's correct. You need a cool house so your kids want to hang out there.
That's exactly
goal, because then you're getting more of that community stuff and family.
That's right. So Patrick, you were about to tell us about the McLaren you bought when you sold.
I made an amazing investment and a more YOLO investment. I spent a lot of money on my backyard. So pool, sauna, cold plunge, fire pit, hot tub, the whole yard, grills and all that kind of stuff. Phenomenal investment. Use it every single day, all the time. Tons of parties.
That's funny. That's what I was just saying right before you jumped on.
Yeah.
I was like, I want my kids to be at home, so I want them to want to hang out.
Best money I spent a lot of money. Best money I've ever spent. And then I've always made smart investments and smart decisions with money, and I've never done stupid things with money. So when I got an email that my Cybertruck reservation was available that I never intended to follow through on, I clicked yes.
Shipped it to the house.
Got a Cybertruck.
Love it. Backyard in a Cybertruck.
That's cool.
There it is. That's a wrap. Any final parting thoughts as you guys see that? Do you find yourself, do you resonate with the story? Does it seem a little distant? What do you think in summation when you see it?
Albert?
No, I think it's the funnel thing. It's also like the he's doing a good job building the funnel, which is great. But it's the other part of once you achieve maybe monetary, then you kind of want social media success. It's, power and
fame, money versus
the
fame.
things. Yeah. So it's
brand.
That's cool. Brand, he wants to be known because when you make a bunch of money or sell your business, people don't know who you are necessarily. Unless you're one of the few, guys that then stays in the spotlight. I think nowadays, somebody like Brian Chesky spends a lot of time staying in the spotlight, but most people don't have a business like Airbnb. So even if you sell your business for in my space, Ghost Energy sold their business recently. Do you know who their founders are? I don't remember that guy's name. Yeah. So you have to have the social media presence if you want people to be yo, you're that dude. And a lot of people want that. So I think it's the funnel plus if you have money, the other
status,
thing you want is status.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that's a good reflection. I feel that being a CEO carries with it a certain amount of you're important in some space, and then all of a sudden if that goes away, what space are you important in?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. What about you, Patrick? You resonate with it at all?
I very much resonate with the whole story. I went through kind of the whole same thing in my own way. I hate to end on a pessimistic note. I'm skeptical that this will stick for Jake. I don't know him. I wish him the best, and I hope it does. I have a feeling he's not going to find meaning here, and it'll kind of fizzle out. He's only posted 2 videos in 6 months. I saw. I hope he's successful. I just don't think, he's going to find what he's looking for here.
Interesting. What gives you that hint? What do you think it is that he's looking for?
Meaning.
In work still?
Well, just meaning in general and something bigger than himself. That's what we're all looking for. We're all, we're all worshiping something. And, the question is not, are you worshiping, but what are you worshiping? And, Albert could be right. Maybe he's building a Hinge profile or trying to become famous, but, I don't think either of those things are going to find, I think they can definitely deliver happiness for him. But I don't know, somebody who's accomplished as much as he has, I could see him getting bored with this pretty quickly.
So does that mean no shirtless waterfall shots from you anytime soon? Because that's
I'm still working on the 6-pack, man.
Okay.
I'm still working on that.
You put in some good work. I know you did. I know you put in some good work. Yeah. Well, what's next for both of you guys? If it's not that, what is it? Just whatever tomorrow brings, bottle caps. What do we got next, Albert?
Yeah, I'm doing Promix still. And we'll probably do some other stuff. I mean, I was looking at Patrick's profile. The Razor personal care space is interesting. I feel like that wave, there was the big wave and then it kind of chilled and now it's coming back again. There's a new set of personal care related products, maybe not razors, but a bunch of other shampoos and all kinds of stuff that are cranking right now. I don't know. I find all that stuff kind of interesting. But yeah, kind of more of the same, to be honest.
So you're still in the arena, not going anywhere.
Yeah, but as kids getting older, and I'm sure you guys are a little ahead of me on the kid stuff. Like I want to do more time with that, you know.
Yep. What about you, Patrick? What's next? You
Me,
coming back to Twitter?
Maybe, probably. Yeah, we'll see. I am, Taylor, I am getting back in the game. Very dipping my toes in this summer. More to come on that specifics, but for me, I think overall, you heard this from me already. I'm going to try to go back to work in a way that has a lot more, I'll use the word balance than I had before. Just won't be 24/7. Always working.
Awesome. Well,
putting it in its right place, I think, is the best way to say it.
I look forward to following along on both your journeys and continuing to learn from you, gents. Appreciate you stopping by and sharing. Good to catch up.
See you, Tim.